If you knew that the whole world was worshiping the beast and the image of the beast and choosing the mark of the beast, but they didn't know it, what would you do? Would you change the subject if all your attempts to shake those people, wake them up to the reality, if all your attempts to do that have failed for the most part, would you just change it up and find something else to talk about? Put 1 in the comment section if you would change the subject because you didn't want to sound like a broken record, because you knew that the world, for the most part, doesn't want to hear it. Or put 2 in the comment section if you would never want to be that type of a person who would change the subject up regardless of the denial of it, because you love people. You don't want anyone to perish. Put a 2 in the comment section if you know that there's no way you could change the subject. Because you know that it would be like if you wake up in the middle of the night because you smell smoke and the smoke detector's going off and the house is on fire and there's no putting it out, and you got a house, your family's in the house, your wife or your husband, your children, your pets, and all that stuff is in the house. Put 2 in there if you are the type of person that wouldn't talk about something that ain't got nothing to do with the house on fire. Put 2 in the comment section if you know for sure there ain't no way you could just go back to sleep with the house on fire and all your loved ones, your children, your wife, your husband, sleeping completely unaware, oblivious to the fire that's about to consume them. Now, I know what you're saying. You're probably saying right now that you would never take the mark of the beast. There's no way you're worshiping the image of the beast. Let me read the word to you. The word of the Most High. That will verify it. It's going to prove to you if you have that mark on you or not. Don't take my word for it. We've been reading about Loki. As those of you who've been paying attention, you should know why I would even talk about this Loki right now. And if you aren't afraid to find out if you are worshiping the image of the beast or not, and you stay around to see if I got the proof or not, if you stick around, and if you've been around and you've been listening to some of the stuff we've been saying, you're going to see how everything's right on time. You're going to see what we read today couldn't have been read unless we read what we did yesterday, and so on and so forth. And that it's Abba and his slow yet strong hand guiding us along. And it's in perfect, synced up harmony. And it's the most masterful, most beautiful thing that I've ever witnessed. And it's got a lot of answers for you. You'll see if you hold tight. But right here, this is an article about Tom Hiddleston explaining his character Loki's last line so perfectly it makes the Loki season 2 finale even better. Now remember, Loki, he's a trickster. He has the scepter. He's the polar opposite of his brother, of his good brother. He deceives you into thinking that he's a good guy when he's rotten. The Loki season 2 delivered an emotional and satisfying finish, but Loki actor Tom Hiddleston's explanation of its final moments makes it even better. Loki season 2 ended the MCU's best TV show with a satisfying and emotional close for its characters and narrative. But Tom Hiddleston's explanation of Loki's final line makes the finale even better. After realizing that his attempts to fix the loom only further the plans of he who remains, Loki makes the selfless decision to become the living guardian and center of the multiverse's ever-expanding timelines. Before he steps out to the failing temporal loom and takes his place on his new isolated throne, Loki speaks for one last time to Sylvia and his friends at the TVA. And the TVA is like the timeline variant authority or something like that. Speaking on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Hiddleston explains why the line is so perfect, what it really means, and how it brings Loki's story full circle, back around. Read the quote. "I know what I want. I know what kind of God I need to be. For you. For all of us." It's the line that Loki says to Odin at the end of Thor, and it's a desperate plea for approval and validation. It's a cry for help from a son who feels he doesn't belong, and it doesn't work, and it's heartbreaking. This time, Loki has lived through that moment and understands something much deeper. And it just felt like a kind of, I actually now understand. Now I understand what I have to do. It's not about me. It's about you. Perhaps more impressive than the poetic final line is how it came to be. Earlier in the interview, Hiddleston explains how Loki director Aaron Moorhead gave him about 40 minutes to develop a fitting line before filming the scene. After going for a jog and listening to the original Thor film score, Hiddleston was reminded of how far he and the character have come and how his final line should mirror where everything started. As explained by Hiddleston, the line works in its own right, but it's particularly pungent as a recontextualized mirror of Loki's desperate words to Odin in Thor. By turning the words from a desperate plea from a misguided son to a bold statement about Loki's true, glorious purpose. Loki shows the immense growth he underwent. It's unclear if Hiddleston will appear again in the MCU after Loki, but if not, this line and his final scenes thereafter act as a perfect close to one of the MCU's best character arcs. Perfect close. Now, if you think about this message, it's like they wrote that script for the Loki TV show to fit, just like all these other stories do, the real script to life. That in order to get full circle, to come full circle back to where it all started, which is where you have to go. In order to do that, you're going to have to know a thing or two by seeing a thing or two, understanding some things. And when you do come full circle, it will be at the close. And the only way you're getting there is if you know that it's not about you or me, but it's about the Most High. It's always been about the Most High, Abba Yahuwah, since day one. And therein lies what separates those who have the seal of the Most High on their forehead and those who have the mark of the beast on their arm and forehead. It's what separates those who worship the beast, the image of the beast and the dragon, and those who serve truthfully, in reality, Abba Yahuwah, the Most High. Watch the word slice and dice. We read Esdras, 2nd Esdras 14 last. We got 2 chapters to go to the close. Does the close scare you? How bad do you want to reach that finish line? Has this been a fantasy to you and you never really thought that far ahead and thought about what you might have to do someday? Or have you come here tonight, suited and booted, Berean style, ready to rock and roll? Yahuwah says, "Behold, speak in the ears of my people the words of the prophecy, which I will put in your mouth and cause them to be written on paper, for they are trustworthy and true. Do not fear the plots against you, and do not be troubled by the unbelief of those who oppose you. For every unbeliever shall die in his unbelief." If this has been a fantasy to you and you haven't thought this far ahead and you just never really thought that it would actually materialize and you would ever have to deal with it, you ain't been believing. Every unbeliever shall die in his unbelief. Behold, says Yahuwah, I bring evils upon the world, the sword and famine and death and destruction. For iniquity has spread throughout every land, and their harmful deeds have reached their limit. Therefore, says Yahuwah, I will be silent no longer concerning their ungodly deeds which they impiously commit, neither will I tolerate their wicked practices. Behold, innocent and righteous blood cries out to me, and the souls of the righteous cry out continually. I will surely avenge them, says Yahuwah, and I will receive to myself all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led like a flock to the slaughter. You see, you probably, in the beginning, you were saying, I don't worship the image of the beast and the beast. You're crazy, Dottie. How dare you? Well, I bet those sheep, that flock that's being led to the slaughter, I bet they'd say the same thing, because they ain't got no idea they're being led to the slaughter. That's the point of him saying that. They don't know. They think they're going out for a little joy, hop, skip, and a jump across a nice, soft, grassy field to play. But in reality, if there are sheep being led to the slaughter here soon, they're not gonna have a head anymore, and they got no idea. They're just whistling Dixie, doo doo doo, yay! We're going to Mount Rushmore today. Chop. That's what happens. So, are you being led to the slaughter? Let's see. If you turn it right now, if you touch that dial right now, there's your sign. You're on your way. And it's real. And you got all the power in your hands to turn it around. I will not allow them to live any longer in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them out with a mighty hand and with an uplifted arm, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all its land. One thing to keep in mind, this is talking about the second time. The last chapter we read, he was telling Esdras, he said, just like when I talked to Moses in the burning bush and I let him out back then, I'm going to do it a second time. That's what it was saying. So, you mean to tell me that all of his children are stuck in that little country of Egypt over in Africa? He's going to bring them all out? You see, this is how the slicing and dicing works. Egypt, it covers the whole earth, and so does Babylon. They're all together, unified. They're one entity, but there's a reason he's using the word Egypt right here. And you're going to see. He's going to do like he did to him before. Let Egypt mourn and its foundations for the plague of chastisement and punishment that Yahuwah will bring upon it. Let the farmers that till the ground mourn, because their seed shall fail and their trees shall be ruined by blight and hail and by a terrible tempest. Alas for the world and for those who live in it. Don't we all live here? Alas for the world and for those who live in it. For the sword and misery draw near them. And nation shall rise up to fight against nation, and swords in their hands. For there shall be unrest among men, growing strong against one another. They shall in their might have no respect for their king or the chief of their leaders. For a man will desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. You think that means they're going to lock cities down? Like London's going to get locked down and you can't get in and out? No. What he's talking about there is, if you have been fantasizing about appearing one day in the city without having to actually want to go there or even concern yourself with it, you ain't going to be able to. For because of their pride, the cities shall be in confusion. Yeah. Why? What's to stop people from looking to see if that's the real set-apart city or not? Their pride. That's what stops them. Every time. The houses shall be destroyed, and people shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbors, but shall make an assault upon their houses with the sword, and plunder their goods, because of hunger for bread, and because of great tribulation. Get the zombie apocalypse thought out of your mind. We're in the zombie apocalypse. It's much worse than just trying to find some cans of green beans to eat. No, all that's happened. The assault on their houses, their goods plundered, the great tribulation. It's because no one has been reading for real the word. Behold, says the Most High, I call together all the kings of the earth to fear me from the rising sun and from the south and from the east and from Lebanon, to turn and repay what they have given them. In those directions, which one they leave out, there's clues. He all words always all necessary. It's not Phil. He ain't wasting no one's time. He's always on time, right on time. To turn and repay what they have given them, just as they have done to my elect until this day, so I will do. And I will repay into their bosom. Thus says Yahuwah the Most High, my right hand will not spare the sinners, and my sword will not cease from those who shed innocent blood on earth. And a fire will go forth from his wrath, and will consume the foundations of the earth, and the sinners, like straw that is kindled. Woe to those who sin, and do not observe my commandments, says Yahuwah. I will not spare them. Depart, you faithless children. Do not pollute my sanctuary, for Yahuwah knows all who transgress against him. Therefore he will hand them over to death and slaughter. For now calamities have come upon the whole earth, and you shall remain in them. For the Most High will not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. Behold, a terrifying sight appearing from the east. The nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and from the day that they set out, their hissing shall spread over the earth, so that all who hear them fear and tremble. Also the Carmonians, raging in wrath, shall go forth like wild boars of the forest, and with great power they shall come and engage them in battle, and shall devastate a portion of the land of the Assyrians with their teeth. And then the dragons, remembering their origin, shall become still stronger, and if they combined in great power and turn to pursue them, then these shall be disorganized and silenced by their power, and shall turn and flee. And from the land of the Assyrians of Ashur, an enemy in ambush shall beset them and destroy one of them, and fear and trembling shall come upon their army, and indecision upon their kings. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north to the south, and their appearance is very threatening, full of wrath and storm. They shall dash against one another, and shall pour out a heavy tempest upon the earth, and their own tempest. And there shall be blood from the sword as high as a horse's belly, and a man's thigh, and a camel's hock. That's all letting you know how far the blood goes, and not literally. It would stop at your thigh, because that's where the word is. The horse is that vehicle, like a church. What's the belly? That's the fat. That's It stops right there. The buck stops when the buck stops. And there shall be fear and great trembling upon the earth, and those who see that wrath shall be horror stricken. And those who see that wrath shall be horror stricken, and they shall be seized with trembling. And after that, heavy storm clouds shall be stirred up from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. And the winds from the east shall prevail over the cloud that was raised in wrath, and shall dispel it. And the tempest that was to cause destruction by the east wind shall be driven violently toward the south and west. And great and mighty clouds full of wrath and tempest shall rise to destroy all the earth and its inhabitants, and shall pour out upon every high and lofty place a terrible tempest, fire and hail and flying swords, booyah, and floods of water, that all the fields and all the streams may be filled with the abundance of those waters. And they shall destroy cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the forest and grass of the meadows and their grain. And they shall go on steadily to Babylon and shall destroy her. They shall come to her and surround her. They shall pour out the tempest and all its wrath upon her. Then the dust and smoke shall go up to heaven, and all who are about her shall well over her. And those who survive shall serve those who have destroyed her. And you, Asia, which I'm sure that's who those people will be serving if they survive, who share in the glamour of Babylon and the glory of her person, woe to you, miserable wretch, for you have made yourself like her. You have decked out your daughters in harlotry to please and glory in your lovers, who have always lusted after you. You have imitated that hateful harlot and all her deeds and devices. Therefore the Most High says, I will send evils upon you, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to lay waste your houses and bring you to destruction and death. And the glory of your power shall wither like a flower when the heat rises that it is sent upon you. You shall be weakened like a wretched woman who is beaten and wounded, so that you cannot receive your mighty lovers. Would I have dealt with you so violently, says Yahuwah, if you had not always killed my chosen people, exalting and clapping your hands and talking about their death when you were drunk? Trick out the beauty of your face. The reward of a harlot is in your bosom. Therefore you shall receive your recompense. As you will do to my chosen people, says Yahuwah, so the Most High will do to you, and will hand you over to adversities. Your children shall die of hunger, you shall fall by the sword, and your cities shall be wiped out, and all your people who are in the open country shall fall by the sword. Those who are in the mountains and highlands shall perish of hunger, and they shall eat their own flesh in hunger for bread, and drink their own blood in thirst for water. Unhappy above all others, you shall come and suffer fresh afflictions. And as they pass, they shall wreck the hateful city, and shall destroy a part of your land, and abolish a portion of your glory as they return from the devastated Babylon. And you shall be broken down by them like stubble, and they shall be like fire to you. And they shall devour you and your cities, your land, and your mountains. They shall burn with fire all your forest and your fruitful trees. They shall carry your children away captive, and shall plunder your wealth, and abolish the glory of your countenance. Woe to you, Babylon and Asia! Woe to you, Egypt and Syria! Gird yourselves with sackcloth and haircloth, and wail for your children, and lament for them, for your destruction is at hand. The sword has been sent upon you, and who is there to turn it back? A fire has been sent upon you, and who is there to quench it? Calamities have been sent upon you, and who is there to drive them away? Can one drive off a hungry lion in the forest, or quench a fire in the stubble when once it has begun to burn? Can one turn back an arrow shot by a strong archer? Yahuwah The Most High sends calamities, and who will drive them away? Fire will go forth from his wrath, and who is there to quench it? He will flash lightning, and who will not be afraid? He will thunder, and who will not be terrified? I don't know how it is nowadays with children. It's probably not the same way it was when I was a child. But when I was real young, like 10, 12 years old, something like that, like me or any of my friends, if we were outside like too long, or it was after the time we were supposed to be home, I know some dads that friends of mine, their dads would whistle for them. And if they heard that whistle, they stopped everything they were doing and they got their ass home, because they knew they would be getting it if they didn't. I didn't have that, but I knew when to be home. And your dad, your creator, Abba Yahuwah, he's whistling for you. That's what that lightning and the thunder is. He's telling you to come home. And who of you is afraid? Who will not be terrified? Yahuwah will threaten, and who will not be utterly shattered at his presence? The earth and its foundations quake. The sea is churned up from the depths, and its waves, and the fish also shall be troubled at the presence of Yahuwah and before the glory of his power. For his right hand that bends the bow is strong, and his arrows that he shoots are sharp and will not miss when they begin to be shot to the ends of the world. Behold, calamities are sent forth and shall not return until they come over the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out until it consumes the foundations of the earth. Just as an arrow shot by a mighty archer does not return, so the calamities that are sent upon the earth shall not return. Alas for me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginnings of sorrows, when there shall be much lamentation, the beginning of famine, when many shall perish, the beginning of wars, when the powers shall be terrified, the beginning of calamities, when all shall tremble. What shall they do in these circumstances when the calamities come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for the correction of men. Yet for all this, they will not turn from their iniquities, nor be always mindful of the scourges. They'll forget. They'll forget what happened last year. They done forgot about all this stuff that's happened. Behold, provision will be so cheap upon earth that men will imagine that peace is assured for them. And then the calamity shall spring up on the earth, the sword, famine, and great confusion. What's confused? The land, the cities. For many of those who live on the earth shall perish by famine, and those who survive the famine shall die by the sword. And the dead shall be cast out like dung, and there shall be no one to console them, for the earth shall be left desolate, and its cities shall be demolished. No one shall be left to cultivate the earth or to sow it. The trees shall bear fruit, and who will gather it? The grapes shall ripen, and who will tread them? For in all places there shall be great solitude. One man will long to see another, or even to hear his voice. For out of a city 10 shall be left, and out of the field 2 who have hidden themselves in the thick groves and clefts in the rocks. As in an olive orchard, 3 or 4 olives may be left on every tree. Or as when a vineyard is gathered, some clusters may be left by those who search carefully through the vineyard. So in those days 3 or 4 shall be left by those who search their houses with the sword. 3 or 4. And the earth shall be left desolate, and its fields shall be for briars, and its roads and all its paths shall bring forth thorns, because no sheep will go along them. Virgins shall mourn because they have no bridegrooms. Women shall mourn because they have no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn because they have no helpers. Their bridegrooms shall be killed in war, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Listen now to these things, and understand them, O servants of Yahuwah. Behold, the word of Yahuwah. Receive it. Do not disbelieve it, what Yahuwah says. Behold, the calamities draw near and are not delayed. Just as a woman with child in the ninth month, when the time of her delivery draws near, has great pains about her womb for 2 or 3 hours beforehand. And when a child comes forth from the womb, there will not be a moment's delay. So the calamities will not delay in coming forth upon the earth, and the world will groan, and pains will seize it on every side. Hear my words, O my people. Prepare for battle, and in the midst of the calamities, be like strangers on the earth. Now, I don't know, maybe I need to say it again, repeat what he said again. He said, hear my words, O my people. Prepare for battle, and in the midst of the calamities, be like strangers on the earth. Let him that sells be like one who will flee. Let him that buys be like one who will lose. Let him that does business be like one who will not make a profit. Let him that builds a house be like one who will not live in it. Let him that sows be like one who will not reap. So also him that prunes the vines like one who will not gather the grapes. Them that marry like those who will have no children, and them that do not marry like those who are widowed, because those who labor in vain. For strangers are going to gather your fruits, and plunder all your goods, and overthrow your houses, and take your children captive. For in captivity and famine they will beget your children. Those who conduct business do it only to be plundered. The more they adorn their cities, their houses, and possessions, and their persons, the more angry I will be with them for their sins, says Yahuwah. Just as a respectable and virtuous woman abhors a harlot, so righteousness shall abhor iniquity when she decks herself out, and shall accuse her to her face. When he comes, who will defend him? Who searches out every sin on earth? The Word, that strong right hand. If we're not supposed to do any business, and we're not supposed to build houses, make profits, get married, girlfriends and boyfriends and play dates, and if we're not supposed to do all this, clock in and clock out, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Just stand there and be broke? Now you see why Egypt was used? If you continue, like say you're someone who's got to pay like $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month in bills, and you got to get up and make the bacon every day, nonstop. If you don't stop right now, that truck that you're paying for in that house, can you saute those with maybe some onions and some, how's it going to taste? Can you eat that stuff? when you're left stuck with that stuff that you've wasted all this time serving, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it when there is no gas to drive it? What are you going to do with it when there's no gas to heat it? And destruction is all around. What are you going to do? The mark has got nothing to do with a RFID chip, a tattoo, a jab. Now, it's part of it. I mean, it's in the mark, but you don't have to. It ain't got nothing to do with you choosing a chip or a shot. I mean, it was the beginning. The shot, the roll up your sleeve, the jab, that was the beginning, because everyone I've talked to that took it, they took it and they would tell you, oh, I had to have my job. No, they didn't. You mean they couldn't? You mean their lungs wouldn't keep pumping air if they got fired and they wouldn't be able to breathe anymore and exist? That's not the case, is it? They could have went on and done whatever they had to do, like not worry about how you'll eat or what you'll wear, because Abba takes care of the birds. He for surely is going to take care of you. But you didn't believe that, did you? So you took the jab. Right now, you don't believe that. You might not have took the jab, but you might as well have, because you ain't gonna, if you just got a new house in Chattanooga, Tennessee, or wherever it is you are, can you walk away from it right now? Right now, can you walk away from that? For the Most High, when you hear his whistling, that lightning and that thunder telling you to come home, you ain't gonna walk away, are you? You're not gonna put it down. You're not gonna quit your job. You're not gonna take your children out of school. You're not gonna do none of that stuff. You're not gonna do none of it. You can hear this word as much as I could tell you, but you ain't gonna take heed because of who you serve. And it's not the Most High. It's got nothing to do with him. It's in total opposition to him. Therefore do not be like her or her works. For behold, just a little while, and iniquity will be removed from the earth, and righteousness will reign over us. Let no sinner say that he has not sinned. For the mighty Most High will burn coals of fire on the head of him who says, I have not sinned before the Most High and his glory. Behold, Yahuwah knows all the works of men, their imaginations and their thoughts and their hearts. He said, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let the heaven be made, and it was made. At his word the stars were fixed, and he knows the number of the stars. It is he who searches the deep and its treasures, who has measured the sea and its contents, who has enclosed the sea in the midst of the waters, and by his word has suspended the earth over the water, who has spread out the heaven like an arch, and founded it upon the waters, who has put springs of water in the desert, and pools on the tops of the mountains, to send rivers from the heights to water the earth, who formed man and put a heart in the midst of his body, and gave him breath and life and understanding, and the spirit of the Almighty, mighty Most High, who made all things and searches out hidden things in hidden places. Surely he knows your imaginations and what you think in your hearts. Woe to those who sin and want to hide their sins, because Yahuwah will strictly examine all their works and will make a public spectacle of all of you. And when your sins come out before men, you shall be put to shame. Just like we've been learning, we've been reading, it's always on time. He's got all the right moves all the time. You can't hide this no more. You can tell us all you want that you don't serve the beast and worship his image and all that stuff, that you don't have the mark. Okay. Let go of all that you got. Walk away from it. Let go of it. Stop caring about it. Focus on going home, to where the real place, the truth, righteousness, right ruling, all this stuff. All that other stuff, leave it lay. If you can't do that, who do you think you're fooling? Who are you sporting against? It's not the Most High, it's yourself. And your iniquity, your own iniquity shall stand as your accusers in that day. That's the mark. Anyone who really wants to look can see that mark on you. I see it. If you don't put down Chattanooga, Tennessee, whatever spot of the earth, world that you dwell in, and make a stand and say, look, if you're a husband, say, look, babe, this is what we got to do. The word's saying that. And if you say, no, the word ain't saying that, and you just brush this off and then go to bed tonight, get up, and go to work Monday morning and back to the grind, another 40-hour, 80-hour week, whatever it is, to pay your bills and do bye to you. We're in the end. We're in the end. You seen back there, it was in the last chapter, he said, or no, maybe it was this one, he said that just like as a woman who is pregnant for 9 months, and then she goes into labor, the pain is real great at like 3 to 4 hours right before she delivers the son. But then once he is born, once he's born, you ain't got much time left. It's about over with. And I know you probably ain't gonna believe this, but he's been delivered. He's come back around full circle to where it all began, to where it started. This might be the last line of your grand finale that you're hearing right now. Who knows? Who knows? But it's close. We know that because he's told us. He's shown us. You ain't on your face giving all praise, all esteem to the Most High if you can't even go look at the truth, and you blow it off so you can watch football and just think about what you're doing. You're going hunting, you're getting this, you're buying this, you're doing this week, this. Bye to you. You ain't face down. You give no esteem, basically. If that's your motivation and your drive, all that stuff, but yet you do say you're Yasharal and you speak his name here and there and stuff, and you say you do keep the commandments, you walk the Torah, you're observant, and you walk it on a tight rope, if you say that, but you ain't even thought about your home, you ain't willing to put down nothing, it's worse for you, because you're just giving lip service, wanting the Most High and people to believe that you serve him. You can't hide this from him. This is the problem that the tree in the garden created. It has man thinking that they can keep doing what they're doing. They got time. It don't matter. It'll be okay. The Most High knows that I just got to get this one bill paid. I got to do this. I can't just do that and do this. He knows that. You ain't hiding nothing. What will you do, or how will you hide your sins before the Most High and his angels? Behold, the Most High is the judge. Fear him. Cease from your sins and forget your iniquities, never to commit them again. So the Most High will lead you forth and deliver you from all tribulation. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall carry off some of you, and shall feed you what was sacrificed to idols. And those who consent to eat shall be held in derision and contempt, and be trodden underfoot. Now, whether that's literal or not, let's just say it's literal. I was just asking you, how's that house and that truck and car gonna taste? How's that? How's your nails that you're getting done at the salon on Tuesday? How are them gonna taste? How's your Gucci gonna taste? How's those dollar bills gonna taste? They ain't gonna burn for very long. They're gonna be burnt up quick, aren't they, if you're trying to keep warm with them? If this is literal, and you can't walk away now when times are relatively not that bad, you could do it now. You probably got enough cash to go, cars to go, bags, all that kind of stuff. It'd be somewhat easy for you to go now. If you don't go now, because you don't know what you're going to eat or where, you're worried about all that. When you're drug off as a POW and they lay down some sacrificed pig's butt, what's to say you ain't going to eat that? I mean, it's all about the Benjamins, ain't it, baby? If you can't put down Babylon now, and you're drug off, and they've starved you and you ain't ate nothing for a week or two, who's to say you ain't gonna eat that? But if it ain't literal, and it's just more of that word, that wrongness, almost all people they're gorging themselves on that stuff. And those who consent to eat shall be held in derision and contempt, and be trodden underfoot. For in many places and in neighboring cities there shall be a great insurrection against those who fear Yahuwah. They shall be like mad men, sparing no one, but plundering and destroying those who continue to fear Yahuwah. And that's what's happened. At first they were burning them at the stake, literally, and it still might go on. But now society has beaten the fear of Yahuwah down so much to the ground, nobody sticks his head up and say, hey, we need to do this. We need to do that. No one's talking about Jerusalem. No one cares. For they shall destroy and plunder their goods and drive them out of their houses. Then the tested quality of my elect shall be manifest as gold that is tested by fire. And the rapture, twinkle D and twinkle toes, that's not part of that. Hear, my elect, says Yahuwah, behold, the days of tribulation are at hand, and I will deliver you from them. Do not fear or doubt, for the Most High is your guide. You who keep my commandments and precepts, says Yahuwah, the mighty Most High. Do not let your sins pull you down, or your iniquities prevail over you. Woe to those who are choked by their sins and overwhelmed by their iniquities, as a field is choked with thunderbrush and its path overwhelmed with thorns, so that no one can pass through. It is shut off and given up to be consumed by fire. If the seed springs up in you and you get excited, but you remember, well, I can't do that because I just started my new job. I got to do this. I got to do that. It chokes it out. If that's what happens to you, he's letting you know right here that the path that the Most High is trying to guide you down to safety from that tribulation, it's consumed up too, because of the same reason. Anything else good is consumed, is choked. because of the cares and the lust and the necessities of this world. The cares. You're going to have to kill that care. And you're going to have to walk away and not worry about what you're going to wear or eat or how you'll sleep or where you'll sleep, unless it's at your home. The only place you need to be worrying, considering on where your head will lay, it needs to be within those borders. What's the odds that the verse of the day is what it is? Yesterday's verse of the day, which I didn't get to read to you, was Genesis 1, verse 1. And this good news of the rain shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come. So when you see the abomination that lays waste, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, set up in the set-apart place, he who reads, let him understand. What's he talking about? Then let those who are in Yehuda flee to the mountains. Let him who is in the housetop, on the housetop, not come down to take whatever out of his house. See, that always confused me when I was younger. I used to think, well, how's he get down if he ain't supposed to come down? It's because it's not literal. It's a metaphor. It's a figure of speech. He's talking about Isis Ra'el. He's talking about your high and lofty place. If you're up on that high and lofty place, jump off, run. Don't go back and take nothing out of that high and lofty place. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garments. Churches, all that stuff in the field. Where do you go? Well, if you go out to minister to someone, you go out into the field, right? Yeah. If you're out in the field, don't go back. Those garments, they're sackcloth. They're not righteous. Woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing children in those days. Pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Shabbat. For then there shall be great distress. Yeah, and so how could if he says, when you see the abomination lays waste, you go flee to the mountains. If he tells you to do that, how could there be a chance that it might not be in winter or it might be in summer? You see, this is why you need to read and understand. See, if you would have left this summer, you could have took a nice easy trip. Now, you might, there might be some snow on those passes now. You might have to, it's going to be a little bit trickier now. And the closer it gets to, when the trouble really starts coming and you start seeing them booms dropping, it's over for you. It doesn't matter. You could get in your Lamborghini. You could get in an airplane filled with fuel. You ain't gonna get into them gates. They'll be shut, just like the ark's door. You're beat. For then there shall be great distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. If anyone then says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there, do not believe. Don't believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets shall rise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. See, I have forewarned you. So if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together. Are you gathered around that dead body right now? The lightning comes from the east and shines to the west. So also, I've been telling you that I done seen him in the clouds. You're not going to get that sign. You're not going to look up and see this Caesar Borgia floating on a cloud. That's more confusion, more pixie dust, twinkle toes bullshit. Get it out your mind. If you know that you're supposed to go home and that is the dead body across the pond over there, and you know that I've been telling you the truth, you've seen the Son of Adam. But are you still gathered around that dead body? Could be. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heavens, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heavens with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. The branch has become tender and put forth its leaves. I hope you've been paying attention and taking notes. If not, don't say hi to Babylon to me. I want nothing to do with her. It's deuces for me. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until all this takes place. You ain't gonna pass away till it's all done. The heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. But concerning that day and the hour no one knows, not even the messengers of the heavens, but my Father only. And as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying, giving in marriage, until that day, it didn't matter. They didn't slow down one bit. They laughed at anything, anyone saying that they should stop. They laughed at that. Yeah, right. Who's going to pay the bills if, Yep. You're going to keep doing that. Just like in the days of Noah, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and they did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. Then two shall be in the field, the one is taken, and the one is left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one is taken, one is left. That's that separating, the separation of the two ways, the parting of the two ways, the separation of the wheat and the chaff. There's one place where you believe everything revolves around and all the BS that comes from it and the confusion. It's grinding at the mill. It's grinding everyone into a fine powder like they're going to do their teeth. And the other one at the mill, it's preserving those who had faith and believed, and they actually wanted it. They weren't lying and just fronting. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your master is coming. Why take chances? Why wait? You see how close we are. You should have done been here. And know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Because of this, be ready too, for the Son of Adam is coming at an hour when you do not expect him. How are you going to watch your house if you ain't even at your house? You don't even care about your house, or worse, you're confused about where your house is. Who then is a trustworthy and wise servant whom his master set over his household to give them food in season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, having come, shall find so doing. Truly I say to you that he shall set him over all his possessions. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying, he ain't coming. Russia ain't, they're not, this stuff ain't gonna happen right now. You're being paranoid. You're just a fearmonger. Why can't you just be happy and make a TikTok like the rest of us and enjoy life? I'm enjoying it, trust me. Very much. The only thing that there is that I'm injured over is all ears are turned off. No one gives any cares. Zero. They're all saying that. He's delaying his coming. And they begin to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunkards. The master of that servant shall come on a day when he does not expect it, and at an hour he does not know. You can take that to the bank. You ain't going to know it. If you think you're going to know, if you think you can keep doing what you're doing, but you'll be able to, you know that maybe next year you'll do it. If you see this happening, like if China takes Taiwan, if that happens, then you'll go. Yeah, keep thinking that. This is one thing you can know. You ain't gonna know. If you keep living like that, he's gonna come at an hour that you do not expect. You will not expect it. And he shall cut him in two and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. What's this portion? Cut him in two and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. What's that mean? Could it have anything to do with what it says in Jeremiah when he says, they will rejoice, take joy in their portion a second time? A portion's whatever you get allotted. You either get allotted to life and your inheritance, or you get it with the hypocrites, the actors, the pretenders, the posers, the fake. And I hope you're ready for plenty of weeping and gnashing of teeth. We're going to get Isaiah 15 and I'm out. Watch this. Slicing and dicing these moves that are second to none. They can't be compared. You've seen how it's all went hand in hand. Just like I said in the beginning, if we hadn't, what we just read, we couldn't have got if we didn't read what we did yesterday, so on and so forth. You've seen how what Esdras said is right in tune with what the verse of the day says. Matthew 24 says, what we read from a stupid article about a stupid show, Loki, it says Mount Rushmore, iPego 2, everything. It's all saying the same thing. The son, the delivery has happened. There has been a child born in the land, come back to the land. Yes. Yeah. If truth and righteousness and right ruling isn't being suggested, come prove it to me. Come show me that that's the case. Show me that this is a figment of my imagination, that this is, that I'm wrong, or that I'm lying, or that I'm lost. Come show it. Show me. Prove to me that that's the case. I bet you won't. I bet you won't even try, because all that matters is Babylon. If it ain't about that Babylon and those Benjamins, baby, we ain't talking. And yes, I don't have them for you. No Benjamins. The message concerning Moab, because in the night Ar of Moab was laid waste, was silenced, because in the night Kir of Moab was laid waste, was silenced. He has gone up to the house and Dibon, to the high places to weep. Moab is wailing over Nebo and over Midaba. On all their heads is baldness, and every beard is cut off. In their streets they shall put on sackcloth, on the tops of their houses and in their streets everyone wails, weeping bitterly, not literally, but there's a lot of weeping, bitter weeping going on right now. And what's so maddening about it is those people that are doing that, they believe they're laughing and just having a great time. Yeah. And Heshbon and Eliah cry out, their voice shall be heard as far as Yahatz. Therefore the armed ones of Moab shout, his being shall tremble within him. The word makes everything tremble. My own heart is toward Moab, her fugitives cry unto Sor, like a 3-year-old heifer. Unto Sor. Who sings that who sings the song of the whore, right? Yeah. They cry out to her, to the whore, like a 3-year-old heifer. For by the ascent of Luith they go up with weeping. For in the way of Horonaim they raise a cry of destruction. That's the song they're singing. And like I said, it's maddening because they think they're singing a song of laughter and joy, love and peace, 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 shalom, shalom. It's not. It's a cry of destruction and bitter weeping. For the waters of Nimrim are waste, for the green grass has withered away, the grass fails, there is no greenness. Therefore the wealth acquired and stored up, they take away to the wadi of the willows, weeping willows. For the cry has gone all around the borders of Moab. It's wailing to Eglam, and it's wailing to Beer Elam. For the waters of Dimon shall be filled with blood, for I shall bring more upon Dimon, lions upon him who escapes from Moab, and on the remnant of the land. If you're saying that's not about this, that's about those places, those towns. Bye-bye, my friend. It hasn't been fun. I might have thought it was at one time, but it hasn't been. A lot of weeping and crying going on. No rest. No peace. But sudden destruction.